Hello guys, today I'll be explaining why I think the Watashi Ruby ban was too extreme and, in my opinion, unlawful. Now, when I say unlawful, I don't mean literally illegal. It's their game, and they can do whatever they want. They could ban every player for no reason and technically still be in the right. I just think this was a very bad decision, and honestly, it sets a worrying precedent for the community. Before we get into it, I want to clarify that I'm not in support of Watashi Ruby or against him. I'm completely neutral. I used his value bot, and unlike some people, I don't think his values were as outrageous as most claim. In many cases, his values were actually extremely similar to the official tier list, sometimes even more accurate or practical, depending on the situation. When I first started GPO, most people used his value list, so I just decided to play by those rules, and I'm sure most other players did the same. For a lot of new players, his bot was the easiest way to understand the complex trading scene, and it actually helped a lot of people avoid making bad trades or losing value unnecessarily. But now, as most of you know, simply being in his Discord server can get you banned. It's no longer just his staff or people suggesting values. Literally, just being in the server or chatting can get you banned. And that's honestly one of the rudest and most frustrating things about this situation. People are being punished for something as simple and harmless as talking to other players or asking questions, and it doesn't matter if they ever used his bot or agreed with him. Just existing in a community is now grounds for a ban, and that's extreme and unfair. Honestly, don't even bother appealing. The GPO support team is known to be inefficient and basically useless, so if you're banned, you're probably better off just moving on. This kind of treatment really highlights how little consideration there seems to be for the community, and it makes the game feel unwelcoming to people who just want to participate. Back when exploiting was huge, when Fluxus and KRNL servers were still active, nobody got banned just for being in those servers. And I've even seen people get banned just for asking questions about GPO in his server, which really highlights how overboard this has gone. I understand why the devs are doing this to some extent. Every attempt they made to halt Watashi directly never worked, and people clearly prefer a rigid numbering system over vague tiers. If the official tier list was actually good enough, most players would have avoided Watashi from the start, especially considering how much negative press there is about him in certain parts of the community. And speaking of the official tier list, it's worth noting that Zach Games, who used to manage the official list, was banned for no reason at all. He made some of the final videos explaining his departure, and despite his efforts to maintain and improve the tier list, he was silenced without explanation, and the support team barely responded. Situations like that just make it clear that the GPO devs can be unpredictable, sometimes rude, and don't always communicate fairly, which makes players feel frustrated and ignored. Personally, I would much rather see MemeBot, the primary community manager, and the official trading team switch to a numbering system. The school season is back, people are busy, and most players don't have the time, energy, or interest to interpret vague placements. That simplicity is a huge part of why Watashi became so popular in the first place. Another reason is how fast Watashi updates his value list. Whenever there's a change in the game, a new item is released or a trend shifts, Watashi is almost always the first to adjust values, often within hours. This responsiveness is something the official tier list can't match. It can take days or even weeks for updates, and sometimes updates get delayed for reasons that are never explained. For players who want to trade efficiently and accurately, speed matters, and that's one of the main reasons his bot became such an essential tool for the community. Now, people constantly accuse Watashi of manipulating values for personal gain, and for the most part, I don't think that's true. A lot of these accusations come from players who don't really understand the GPO market trends, or who have only recently returned to the game after being away for a while. For example, many people wonder why Resurrection Head dropped in value and immediately blame Watashi, without realizing that it had become obtainable again and also dropped in the official tier list. My point is that almost every criticism people make about Watashi can also be made about the official tier list. When people accuse him of manipulation, there is usually no real evidence provided. One example that comes to mind is Bunyo and Yukio Rising, but even in the official server, there was a thread suggesting the increase, and it had tons of likes and community support. Maybe Watashi did manipulate some values to please his premium members. I can't rule that out. But there are no concrete claims or proof that I can find. Whenever you think Watashi Ruby is manipulating an item, a simple way to check is to compare it to the official tier list. And you'll notice that they're extremely similar, especially if the official tier list has been recently updated. That brings me to another reason why the official tier list hasn't been adopted by many players. It's too slow. I've heard the creators claim that they plan to update faster, but honestly, they've promised this before and never delivered consistently. There was a time when the tier list wasn't updated for 3 full weeks, which probably cost a lot of players significant value. Sometimes the tier list updates fast. Other times it's almost forgotten. And because of that inconsistency, some people might go back to Watashi if he returns, simply because he's faster and more reliable in practice. And this isn't just speculation. It's a pattern that the community has seen over and over again, and it only adds to the sense that the devs don't always prioritize fairness or clear communication for the players. Anyway, I think this is where I'll end the video. I tried to stay neutral, but I'm sure people will call me a Watashi Glazer now, and I get it. I defended him a lot. So comment Watashi Glazer to be entered into my all-seeing eye giveaway, and if you enjoyed this, like and subscribe, and let me know what you think in the comments. I really want to hear your thoughts, whether you agree or disagree, because this whole situation is something that affects everyone in the GPO trading community, and it's worth talking about in depth.